there she is.
There you go.
Hey, hi Jenny. Thanks for waiting around there in the background.
You bet.
I like people to see, where you're at. For example, tell us about you're in your home. I guess is that your home office?
Yes, this is my home office. I've been in this house for 20 years now, and it's always had an office. And when I became a licensee, I finally got to put it to good use.
It's
Yeah.
so nice working from home, isn't it? Once you get used to that, as long as the refrigerator's not too close, I'm okay.
Yes. Very true. Very true.
All right. So, folks, let me point out to you that the reason I had you go to the question box is because we want you to ask questions. So here's your opportunity to ask somebody who's actually done their due diligence. As you'll see many years ago, actually, I'm going to have Jenny tell her whole story here in just a second. But she went through the training. She completed it. She got certified. She started out with her, medical billing for, one doctor, I think. After a couple, it took you a year or so, didn't it, Jenny? You said to get that first client.
Yes, it did. 1 year.
Now you weren't full time though. You were working somewhere else too.
Yeah, I had a full-time career, and I was an auditor back then. And yes, we became licensees, and my sister-in-law and I, we were partners and became licensees. And so it took about a year, yeah, to get that first client. Yeah, sure did.
Well, I tell people some licensees go out if they're full time, of course, they can devote time to this and they can find that first client in the first, 30 to 90 days. But, once you get a client, you can make probably enough money to earn back even your license fee. Wouldn't you say that a good doctor's billing would pay that back in a year's time at least?
Oh, absolutely. Even less than that. Even though it took us about a year to get the first client. As I said, we were working full time in other careers, and I have to look at some notes here because it's been such a long time. I can't remember. We became licensees 14 years ago. It's been
Wow.
14 years. And it was 13 years ago we got the first client, and we had the one client, and we billed for her for a full year. And then she decided that she didn't want to renew with us. She wanted to find somebody less expensive. And you're going to find that that's going to happen.
Sure.
And right when she decided she wasn't going to renew, that's when I found the second one. So it's funny how things work out. And the second one was family practice. And at that point, I knew the revenue would be enough that I could retire from my career and start working full time. So my sister-in-law and I decided that I would be the full-time employee, and then she would be the backup or the contract worker for me should I need it. So
Oh, well, good. Well, that worked out good.
yes, it did. Yes.
So, folks, here's an example of somebody who's taken this business, and even though she's had more clients in the past than she has now, clients come and go. Doctors, retire and die, and when they do, of course, you've got to replace that doctor with another client. But Jenny was telling me the other day that she has been able to make a full-time living and pay her mortgage every month for the past 10 years at least.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I started out when I finally went full time. Then we had the one client, and then it slowly built, as we did marketing. And do you want me to talk a little bit about the marketing as we were building? Would you like me to do that? Different marketing.
Yes, in fact, let's start with you said what you were doing as an auditor.
Yes.
What was your sister-in-law doing at the time?
She was a regional manager for a chain of convenience stores. So we both basically had finance backgrounds, had no billing, medical training whatsoever. And going into it, I thought, okay, this might be a disadvantage. But the way I looked at it was, as an auditor, I followed the money. Before I was an auditor, I was a bank examiner. So, I mean, I was trained to follow the money. And you can look at medical billing as following the money for the doctor. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing, is just trying to see where the cash flow is, where the problems are, help with that,
Mhm.
hopefully get them more money by using technology like ours that reduces the rejection rate and so forth.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're just a partner with them really in business, aren't you?
Well, you're the business end. And as I remember learning in training, you have to remind the doctor that they are the doctor and they don't have to be the business manager. They need a business manager. They need to focus on their patients, and we can focus on the revenue cycle for them. We can focus on getting their money. And a lot of them are so relieved when you go in there and you tell them that's what you can do, because especially the younger doctors, when they're starting up, they want to do everything. I've seen it so many times when you go in there and they're just churning at everything. That's like, I can help you. I can help you collect your revenue, and this is how we're going to do it. And once they relax, and they stop hovering over you to make sure that they want, because they want to know where their money is going for sure.
Yeah.
And once they can get relaxed about it, then it's like, okay, run with it, do it, just show up, let's see the reports every month, and we're good to go. And it'll take a couple of cycles for them to really feel comfortable and be relaxed with you, because it's their money. You're dealing with their money.
Yeah.
But at that point, though, if you do a good job for one doctor, that is your introduction into the next doctor. Because as you've often said, it's a referral business. If somebody knows you and they like you, they're going to refer you out to their colleagues. And that is the best way to get in the door. But of course, as a licensee, you've got to get into the door other ways. Now we have built up this practice to where we are getting referrals from other doctors. And I think I was telling you, as I was looking over my client list, I've had about 16 clients over the years.
Yeah.
And I've had as little as one and as many as six. And so it's been cyclical. It's come and gone. And I'm pretty much the slow and steady person.
Yeah.
I've done it for this long, and it's now beginning to get to the point where you can just wait for a phone call, and you'll get a referral. And
That's the best way to get business, is just wait for the phone call. Yeah.
It's honestly, but you have to work to get to that point. And I can tell you a little bit about what we did in the beginning, the networking. We started out becoming members of BNI, which is, I believe, something that you had suggested, Business Networking International.
Right.
We got active in that. We got active in the chamber, the local chamber of commerce. We did that. I'm from the Houston area, and the Harris County Medical Society had a show every year that they would put on, a trade show for existing doctors. And so we set up a booth, and I believe ABS, you let us use your banners and your equipment for it. So our booth looked so professional. It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
So we did that. Oh gosh, a lot of different things. I've done direct mail. I've done cold calls. I've gotten referrals from people that just because I've told somebody what I do. I think that's something else that I know you suggested. You have to let everybody in your circle know what it is that you do.
Right.
And I got a referral one time from a woman I knew from my church, because she knew what I did. And so I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, your friends and relatives, your acquaintances all probably have in mind some doctor that they either go to, or that's a relative or something that's probably having some hard times right now, especially right now.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, when it comes to financial stuff, there's where we shine, and the doctors will pay attention to your marketing efforts, because you're not just selling a cotton swabs or a piece of equipment, you're selling more money, bringing more money to their practice.
Yes, we are. My second doctor that we signed was my parents' family doctor. And so she knew them, and
Yeah.
it took the full year because we would visit her when we first started, because that was the doctor that we all knew. But it took that long, but it was consistent. We would go in and visit. We would bring little gifts. We wanted to stay in the forefront of her mind, and we were able to do that. Yeah, and she
Yeah,
finally signed on. I believe I had her about 6 years, family practice. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That reminds me of I had a licensee up in Ohio, Janet Melanowski. She's still with us. She's still adding new clients, growing her business. She's got about 25 employees, 3,000 square foot office space. She's really gone big with this. But she said the first client that she got was because when she got back home from the training, this is when we were doing the live training down here in Dallas. It's all done virtually now. But she said, when I got home, I just thought, well, they said, let all my friends and relatives know. So she made a list of everybody she knew from church and work and everywhere, and came up with about 200 letters that she mailed out. And she got her first client from one of those letters because somebody said, oh, are you doing billing for doctors? I have a doctor that's complaining about how tough it is right now financially or whatever, So that is the best business to get is referral. But as you know, Jenny, we taught back when you were coming through probably about a dozen different ways, to go out and market. One of them was the networking organization that you mentioned, BNI. There's a lot of those different types of organizations, of course. But now today, a lot of that's being done digitally, online, through Facebook and LinkedIn and other, sites like that. So we have changed our emphasis on the way we teach people to market to doing it digitally, building a great website, showing you how to get traffic to the website. Those are the kinds of things that are being taught nowadays.
Yeah.
That person-to-person thing is probably the best thing, but nobody wants to do it, and you don't have to nowadays. And besides, the doctors don't want to see you face to face right now.
Well, I made a gosh, it's been so long. I went back and looked at all the clients that I've had over the years, and I listed them out, the different specialties, and I took a look at how they came to me, and I'll just run it down here right quick for you. I mentioned our first one was the networking. The second one was the family practice. That was my parents' doctor. And then the cardiologist clinic that I signed was through a friend who was in the business. She was an MA. And so she knew what I did, and she referred them over to me, and she had dealt with them before. So there was that level, that comfort level. And so that was very easy to sign them on. And then I got another family practice from cold calling. Just, you're out, you see a clinic, you go on in, and hey, I never thought I would, because cold calling was not my favorite. You don't like doing that.
Right.
But I did. I got one from cold calling, and I remember when they called me, they said, you were just so nice when you came in. I was like, well, okay then.
Well, the thing is that not many people do that kind of thing, calling in person on doctors. And so you probably stood out in their mind, oh, this lady probably really does want to do a good job for us, or she wouldn't have made the effort, to come see us.
But it's also about attitude. You have to be comfortable representing your product, and you have to be comfortable knowing that they can benefit from your service. And I heard one time, people don't want to be sold, they want to buy. So there's a difference in how you've got to present yourself. So allowing them to buy rather than trying to sell, to you.
Yeah.
So after that, I got a referral, a pulmonologist, and then and at that point we started to get traffic and calls from the website and referrals. And that's when I signed a psychologist who had 6 people working in his practice. And he was in 2 states. So he was here and he was in Michigan. And he found me from the website. So that was an example there. And then I did a lunch and learn. And I got a client from that. So that was something, something different there.
Right.
And then my next one was from the website. And then the next one was the one I told you about from church. My friend from church knew what I did, and so she it was her mother-in-law that she referred over to me. So we did that, and then we started to get the website again, and then I hit a string of referrals from a larger billing company here in Houston. It was owned by a woman, and I had met her about 3 years before in a networking situation. I can't remember which one, but I remember saying, "Oh, well, you do billing, and I do billing too," and we exchanged information, and then, you know, about a year later, she called and said, "I really don't want to take on any more clients. Can I start sending them to you?" So
Yes.
so that was, you know, after years of working on the, you know, the business, and it really is what goes around comes around. If you put the time in, you're going to get, you will get the results that you're looking for. And with her, she started to hear good things about me taking care of the, you know, the first one that she sent me. So she just, you know, kept sending me more. Now, some of them I didn't sign, but I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've had 5 from her over the years. And I wanted to make a point about the billing companies. You don't necessarily want to look at other billing companies as your competitors and to stay away from them. I think they are a good resource for you. Obviously, they were in my case. But I met another owner from a building company here in Houston one time, and I was new, fairly new, and she said, "Come on in. I'll chat with you. I'll help you. I'll help you figure out how to market." And she spent about 3 hours with me, just going over what they did, and they were well established. And I mean, I wasn't a threat to her, you know, but she was willing to impart her expertise to me. And so again, that's another avenue. So you know, you don't want to discount
She had been in business long enough to know that you can't saturate this market unless you signed up every doctor in your entire area. There's always room for another medical biller out there. And even our own licensees don't look at one another as, you know, competition. Do you have anybody close to you that you know of that's one of our licensees?
Not at all. Yeah. I've had, over the years, I've had calls because I do know Adam had asked me a couple of times, would you mind, you know, because he knew I'd been in it a couple of years, would you mind talking to this particular licensee because they're looking to sign a practice, and I know you've done billing for that particular specialty. And I think a couple of times I talked to licensees, and I was willing to, you know, you want to do that. You want to share your expertise. And as you said, we're not close enough that we're going to be competition. And hey, somebody helped me when I started. So, you know, I'm more than happy to help. Yeah.
Well, that's, as you know, Jenny, the great thing about ABS is we have a network of people from coast to coast with varying backgrounds, some of them doing billing for different specialties. And so when one of our licensees like you need help with something, we can put them in contact with somebody in our network, somebody else who's using the same system, of course, that you're using, the cloud-based system, but maybe they have more, you know, knowledge about that particular specialty. So our licensees help coach one another.
They do, and I've seen that, and I've been there, and I've done that. So definitely, that's an encouragement. Yes. So.
Yes. We've actually addressed a few questions here as we were talking, so I'm just going to kind of cover those to let people know that we're not ignoring their questions. Norma asked, how long did it take you to get clients? And we said that first one did take about a year because you were just doing it, you know, part-time. Yes. And then, of course, you've already answered how did you go about getting clients? You just told several ways that you got the clients. Reginald, though, brings up a good point. He says taking a year to secure the first client may be reasonable for 14 years ago, but how long is it taking companies in today's environment to secure the first client? I don't know. Maybe back then, you know, maybe it was a little tougher because doctors were not aware of the advantages of outsourcing their billing. You think maybe that was part of it back then? Jenny?
I really couldn't speak to that because we're in a different cycle now. Where, as I said, we have gotten to the point we're getting referrals in. So that's that's where our cycle is right now. So,
Right. Yeah.
and a year was, remember, we were working part-time, and I did want to make the point that we probably didn't start actively to look for doctors until we were maybe a few months into being a licensee, because you want to get your materials ready, you want to get your website, you want to make the investment, you want to look professional,
Yeah.
And so it's probably 3 months after that then we started the networking. So if you think about it, it was probably closer to 9 months of actual working before we got, and again, working full-time jobs in another, other places. So
You bet. That definitely takes away your ability to go out and find your first client. Reginald, let me just address, when you ask how long is it taking in today's world, actually, it depends on the licensee. It depends on whether they're full-time or part-time and so forth. Depends on the area of the country, how many doctors there are in your area. If you're just in the mountains of Tennessee, you might have to work a little harder to find that first client because there's not that many doctors up there. But in a metropolitan area like we're in here, you're close to Houston, aren't you, Jenny?
yes, I'm in a suburb of Houston. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's just hundreds, thousands, I guess, of medical providers down that way and up here in the DFW area. So, but Reginald, go back and look at some of the recent interviews that I've done with some of our licensees, and you'll find out from them themselves telling you with their own mouth, what it took for them to get clients. We'll also give you a list of licensees that you can call. So just get back with the person who invited you to this webinar and say, hey, I'd like your list of owners, business owners, we call them, licensees, whatever. And we'll give you a list of people that are willing to talk to you. You can call them up and ask them all the questions you want. I interviewed a lady named Jana. I'm actually going to do another interview with her here in just a couple of months. And she said that during this pandemic, this past summer, she was doing all kinds of marketing and getting clients. In fact, before we did the last, it was a round table that we did for our licensees. I don't know if you attended that or not, Jenny, but it was great because it has 2 or 3 licensees on there telling what they're doing right now to market. And she said, I just signed up 3 new clients last week. So it's all individual, Reginald. You can't say that there's some average that's out there because, I hope you don't think of yourself as average.
Well, and you can't get discouraged either. I mean, I remember one of your trainers saying, failure just can't be an option for you. This isn't your investment. This is your investment in your livelihood, and you're just going to have to stick with it for as long as it takes. And I know we have definitely been successful. I know you've got some licensees that have just blown the lid off it. But my goal was to, because I started out in my later years, I had a successful career and I'd done very well, but I was really looking for something else. I'd hit that ceiling, in the professional world, and I really wanted the flexibility to work at home. I was extremely organized, and it was time for a change. I really wanted a change. And so it worked out. It fit me right then. This was something I remember. I was in the car, and I heard a radio announcement for you were having a meeting, I believe, here in Houston, and it was an introductory meeting. And I went and I listened to it, and I thought, of all the things that I could do, it just clicked. It just made sense to me, even without the medical background, having the financial background. It just made sense to me. And I remember you presenting it at that. It was I think a couple hours a meeting, and then you had a luncheon, I believe, and then we were invited up to Fort Worth. And I think we sat through 2 days, 3 days. I can't even remember back then. But I remember feeling that this was a good opportunity. And it was a good opportunity for people who were willing to go out on the limb and work for it. And there was you had people, you had people behind you. And that's the feeling I got with ABS is I knew 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, ABS would still be behind me. And look, like I said, it's 14 years down the road now, and ABS is still behind me.
People ask me all the time, why do you give lifetime support? We used to charge, I don't know, $1,000 a year or something like that for support. And I said at one point, look, we are making money when they sign up clients. We get some of that from our technology partners on the back end.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't we want to support people for the rest of their lives? And here you are 14 years later, we're still going to give you support. If you need anything, we're here.
Exactly. I know you do the training webinars or the informational webinars, and to this day, I love to go on. I usually they're on a Friday. It's a good time.
Yep.
I'll go on, and I've listened to Dr. Vicky, and I've listened to Cynthia, and I always come away so energized because you can feel like you're a little isolated in your own bubble here. And then when you hear the stories of the other licensees, you just feel that connection. It's like a sorority or a fraternity. You're part of this group, and you really do feel like people are behind you. And that's what I felt then, and that's what I feel now. So.
Yeah, we have those trainings, as you know, Jennie, about, every other week or so, we'll do something for the licensees on Fridays. And these on Wednesdays, of course, are for people who are still looking and trying to decide what kind of business do they want to start. But we do that at no charge as well. You'll never pay another penny to us after you paid that license fee. That's a one-time, lifetime license fee. Everything else is just provided by us, and that's because we're good people, but we also make money. So,
well, that's a win-win right there,
That's right. Reginald is asking, what was the geographic region for securing the first client? Reginald, first of all, unlike franchises, we don't have any territories, so there's no restriction. But you are, again, she was down in the Houston area there.
Yeah. Well, my first several clients were all in the Houston area, but that's a large area. So I've gone as north as you can go and still be in the Houston suburbs, and I've gone, Kingwood is the name of the city. Well, you probably know where that is. And I've gone as far down to Galveston, to do presentations. And as I was telling you earlier, one of my clients, a psychologist, had a clinic here, and he opened up a clinic in Michigan, and he wanted to know if I could bill for him. Well, of course I could bill for him. And so we did that for a while. So there really is no limitation. I mean, if you wanted to go to Hawaii, you wanted to go to Alaska, and with technology being the way it is now, I have billed for a doctor that I have never met. And it was one of those warm referrals where she called up because she knew from somebody else that I was in the business, and we signed everything over DocuSign, and here come the claims, and off we go. It's wonderful.
Yeah, there's no real need with the technology we have nowadays to have to see somebody face to face, because, like you said, all the documents can be signed electronically. That it's just a wonderful new way of working.
Yeah.
So Reginald, to answer your question, I think Jennie just touched on that. You can sign up doctors anywhere in the entire United States, and you will get referrals from a doctor in your local area to some doctor that's maybe in another state. So there's no limitations on that, and you wouldn't want any, right? Because that lets you grow this business as big as you want to.
That's right. Exactly right.
Let's see. Irvin is asking, can we talk about the transition from full-time work into working for your first client and the hours that you have to devote during your transition, and even since your transition? So What did that take for you? Did you just walk away from your other job at one point?
Well, I was careful, and I said I had a partner, but she was not going to work in it full time. She was basically, we went in on the investment, but we made the decision that I was going to be the one to shoot for the full time, position. So we were cautious. I didn't have a lot of, financial behind me as far as, the ability to not work for 6 months, and some people might, I didn't. So it was slower because of the fact that I wanted to be careful. I just didn't want to go out there and run the risk of not having any cash flow. So when I started it was the second client. Remember that it was the second client when I realized I could actually do this full time, and because we were billing a lot more for the second client than we were the first client that I had for the year when I was still working. So it was cautious. It was baby steps that we decided we were going to take. Now, when a more adventurous person might just decide to run on out there, or if they have somebody in the business or they know a doctor, it might be a little easier putting your feet in there. So.
Okay, Jenny, I was looking at the questions here. Don was saying, on average, how much will you make each month from one doctor's office? Now, can you just give us a feel for that? How do you measure whether you're making enough from one doctor to, be worth actually doing the billing for that doctor?
Well, I've always felt that we were in the business of helping doctors, and I have not turned away, like for instance, I've built part-time doctors that wouldn't necessarily have paid, more than maybe $1,000 a month. But I would do that, keeping in mind that that part-time doctor may refer you to a bigger clinic, and you can make a lot more money. So, these are things that you're basically going to have to, make your own decisions about. I wanted to replace my salary from working full time, and I was able to do that. And once I hit that goal, then that was my measure for success. And as you mentioned, people can, the licensees, they can earn incredible, incredible incomes. I just wanted to pay my mortgage and replace my salary, and that was what I was striving for, and that's what I got. So, but I could give you an example of, I did look up some figures here. Right before the pandemic hit, because quite a few of my doctors were affected, I was billing with 4 clients. I was billing out now, not making, but billing out about $450,000 in billings per month. And
wow.
And back when I had several years ago, when I had 6 clients together, I hit the million mark. I did. I billed $1 million in billings in 1 month. And now, of course, you get paid on a percentage of that, and it'll go up and it'll go down. But I would say I was surprised when I look back at that. I was like, wow, did I actually do that? So.
Yeah, even a small, 6 or 7% of $1 million is a nice fee.
Is a nice tidy fee.
I'm showing our website here because I wanted people to see that they can go find out what kind of income potential there is with a little tool we have here on the website called the Medical Billing Income Calculator. And Jenny, I don't know if we had this back when you were looking into the business or not.
No.
But this is where you can put in the number of doctors that you'd like to have as clients. We've got 5 plugged in there, but you can change that to anything you want to. Maybe you want a dozen doctors, or like one of our licensees has 83 doctors. But just fill that in, put in the number of patients each day that the doctor sees. 20 is a good average probably for a general practitioner. And then the average number of days that they, are open. Then, since the fee runs, what would you say, Jenny, in general, are you charging in the area of 6 to 8%?
Yeah, how I do it is if the client takes on the EMR and the billing, there's less work for us to do, and I usually charge them 5% and can still make money there. And if they don't have the EMR, I will charge them 6%. And I don't usually move off of those two. It's either 5 or it's 6, and that's it's the precedent that I set. And you don't ever want to run into a problem of somebody calling you as a referral and you quote them an amount that's higher than what you're billing for your existing client. So I ran into that problem a couple of times. As I said, well, from here on in, EMR 5%, billing 6%. And I would say for this market that is competitive. Yeah.
Let's plug that in here. I changed this to 6% with an average claim of, say, $100, which again, these are just all averages. You can plug in any number you want there. It's probably higher nowadays. I don't know how you see a doctor for less than $150 nowadays. But
higher, yeah.
Yeah. Then if you submit there, you'll see that it comes up with and shows you what kind of money you could be making. So with 5 offices, depending on the numbers that we just saw, you could be making $12,000, almost $13,000 a month in revenue.
Yeah.
But that just depends again on how much you're charging and how many doctors you have and so forth. That'll go up and down too, just like Jenny has seen over the years. Clients retire, a doctor might just, die, and all of a sudden you don't have a client there. So you always want to continue putting the word out and letting people know what you do. And you're probably at the point where you don't do any marketing at all. I mean, like you said, Jenny, if you get any new clients, it'd probably be from a referral anyway, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money in the past with the networking and the website. Well, of course, the website's still there. And we did a lot of giveaways when we went to different shows. We did that. And you hit a point where you just don't want to spend it anymore, the money in the marketing, if you're getting clients from referrals. And it was nice to hit that, but we certainly did have to work hard to get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people, folks, if you're looking for something that's a fad or that's just easy, lay back and do nothing to make money, this isn't it. It's a real business. It's based on real need in the marketplace. Doctors need help with their revenue, and they, as Jenny mentioned, they're not business people. They're trained to take care of patients and deal with medicine and doctors and drugs and all that stuff. They don't want to deal with this, but they have to in some cases, don't they? If they don't know that they can outsource it.
Yeah. Well, and now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, the sound of outsourcing, meaning that there is one less person in the office to do the billing. I mean, I was thinking about that the other day. That is a perfect in for anybody starting out. You can take a body out of the office and there's more room to social distance. So it's
that's right.
It's great.
Yeah. And I think more and more doctors are realizing that they outsource a lot of things. Their bookkeeping is done by a CPA, their legal stuff is handled by a lawyer. You don't even wash your own windows in a doctor's office. They hire window washing companies to do that. So outsourcing is just the wave of the future. Let's see. Norman says, what was your learning curve in learning the ABS software?
Oh, yeah. Well, Patrick, over the years, you've had different vendor
platforms, yeah.
different platforms. And from my experience, I believe this is the 3rd platform that we've had. And the one that we're using now, I absolutely love. It's so user-friendly, and it will take you a cycle. It will take you several months to actually go through the revenue to see, okay, this is how you bill out. this is how the income comes in. This is how you post the EOBs. This is how you make adjustments for, if there's recoups or whatever. So I'd say a good 3 months is a good learning curve. And then you can say, okay, I know my system really well. And even then you'll still learn more things about it. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's constantly learning new stuff. And of course, as we update the software, since it's in the cloud, it's just updated automatically behind the scenes. And every time you log in, there'll be an improvement now and then, something new that we've added. But that's simple to keep up with the changes once you've learned the basic system. So,
well, and there's always the ability to call the support desk. They're great. Or I think now you can send a ticket through the success community. I think that's what you do now. And it's kept up. The technology has definitely kept up. It's changed over the years, and it's been easy to learn, easy to adapt to, and it's become definitely, I think, more user friendly. And like you said, the coding is in there. I did know I've had 3 cardiologists. And I do remember when I first started with the first one, he would just give me batches of paper from the hospital. It was like, here, build this. Well, you may need a little bit of help there. So what I ended up doing was my friend who was in the business, who's an MA, she found, do you hear my dog barking?
No, that's your helper. You said that you had helpers.
Yes, must be hungry or something. Okay. Anyway, the cardiology. She found a free cardiology coding class for me, and I mean, I just had to do it because even though the doctors are responsible for their coding, they don't seem to take that really seriously.
No, they don't.
You will, I mean, literally, I'll get diagrams of a heart, and all of this is scribbled on it, and I did this, and I did that, and I did that. Well, what is that? So it like I said, it was free, and that worked out. I took a coding class, and I got a certificate for it, specifically for cardiology coding. So if you ever get yourself in a bind, you even though you're not responsible for it, you have to know what you're doing. You have to, and the doctor will love it. Will love you for it. Yeah.
Well, and then if you do need help, of course, as you know, Jenny, we have other ancillary services that are provided by other technology partners, including CodeWrite, and that is certified medical coders who behind the scenes can take some records from your doctor and tell them whether or not they're coding correctly, because some doctors are undercoding. They're not coding what they should be to get paid what they could get paid, and we help with that. And then some doctors overcode, which means they could get in trouble with Medicare for doing that. So in any case, we can help them with some of those extra services that are out there.
Yeah, that's true. There's I don't think a lot about the other services you have, but that's true. You have got such an arsenal behind you. And if a doctor is interested, it's wonderful to have all these things from one person, because you really do get to be projected as the professional here. You are the doctor. You truly are the doctor's helper. When you can say, oh, you're having a problem here, well, I know how to help you. And that's another thing that ABS has done, is you've through the years that I've been here, you've added different services. And you just have this suite of services that the doctor can take advantage of. Yeah,
we've added some, just recently we added telehealth as one of the ancillary things that you can offer. And we're rolling out right now what's called remote patient monitoring. This is really big out there right now because of the pandemic. Doctors using telehealth to see their patients now. They can actually remotely monitor patients and be paid by insurance companies and Medicare for that remote monitoring. And all they're doing is just having some MA or a physician's assistant there in the office contact the patient and ask them how they're doing, and they can check on them remotely and get paid for that. And then of course that's another billing opportunity for you as a licensee. Plus you make money on that on the back end as well. So we continually come up with these things because we want our licensees to have like you said, all the tools, if a doctor asks you about something, you don't want to say no, you want to say, yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
And we can.
Yeah. Well, I remember one doctor I was going to sign, he was having an issue with his credentialing. And, you know, that was not my expertise. And I remember we were negotiating, and he had to look to other credentialers in Houston, and all of them would only credential for him if they had his billing. And so I was able to match that because you had some credentialers in your arsenal, and
Right.
I was able to refer him over to the credential, and I didn't lose that business. So that was
because of that. Yeah.
that's true.
And that's why we do that. Of course, we also make money on all those services, and so do you. So it's not your main source of revenue. Of course, the billing is always where you'll make the most money, but all of them will bring something. I call it mailbox money. You can go to the mailbox each month and just get a check for having hooked the doctor up with one of these services, and our people on the back end do all the work, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very true. Yeah.
Oh man, wow, lots of questions here. Some of them have to do with just the business opportunity and so forth. So folks, I'll address those as I can here at the end of the whole thing. But Jennie, I told you it'd be 45 minutes, and we've already gone past that. So thank you so much for being on here today. I'm sure people love listening to your story and talking with you about this. So any last words you'd like to leave with everybody?
Well, I have been so fortunate and so blessed to have made this relationship work with ABS and with your technology partners. And it was, next to having children, it was the best thing I ever did. So I've been happy. I wouldn't do it any differently. I've been able to work at home, which I've enjoyed. It was a perfect fit, and I know if the licensees do their due diligence, they will see if they have the drive that they can do this too. And I mean, I'm living proof of that. So.
Yes, you are. Well, Jennie, thank you so much for your time today. You can just leave the webinar there, and it'll shut everything off there if you want to. Otherwise, thanks. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. You know, we're always here.
Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Patrick.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Bye now.